From building houses and farming, to sailing the vast ocean and getting destroyed by creatures while trying to survive. Oh god. And who is even that guy? And why is he looking at me? This game can be challenging, but it also can be very cozy. So get yourself comfortable, because today I'll be playing 100 days in Valheim. Now first things first, I had to create a true Viking, with a name worthy of surviving these lands. Alright, that's perfect. The game starts with us getting carried by this cool bird, which drops us into the spawn. So now we get to start our first day and our first biome, which is called Meadows. I started by grabbing wood and stone until my co-op friend joined. Handshake or fist bump? Handshake? Okay dude, that's awkward. Back to material gathering so we can build our first house, until I learned that, yeah, that can happen. With enough wood, I started building the foundations of the house and then the walls. By day 2, the house was pretty much done, just missing the final touches, which is just adding fire into a wooden fireplace. Oh yeah. So now with a place to call home, we waited for the night to pass so we could start getting boar leather so we could craft our first ranged weapon, the bow, which is gonna be very helpful to hunt deers and also for the first boss later on. Okay, bow in hands. Now cook some meat to prepare for the fight. Craft a bunch of arrows and wait for the next day. Now it's time to face the first boss. In order to summon him, 2 deer trophies is needed. The fight is pretty easy and it feels more like a tutorial, but the fight's very cool. His main attacks are a ranged lightning strike and a stomp that deals damage to everything around him. First boss down. We decided to kill him a couple more times so we could make more pickaxes. With the head that he drops, we get access to his powers, and whenever we use it, running and jumping drains less stamina. It's a very useful power, especially for exploring. Crafted our very first pickaxe, 3 of them actually, a wooden shield for defense, and a club. And now we should be ready for the next zone, the Black Forest. As soon as we stepped into the forest, we got greeted by a bunch of mobs, and we were clearly not ready to fight. When my friend died and they all started turning to me, I knew that I had to run, or I would be next. The thing is that they never stopped following me. I turned and tried to fight back, but that didn't work either. After a long time running, in the beginning of day 5, I got tired. It was a matter of pride at this point. With all of them gone, it's time for more exploration. Back to the Black Forest, I started finding some copper deposits, which I marked on the map. Moving on, I found a structure that was guarded by some skeletons. These are dungeons that carry important materials, so I immediately went in. With my rested buff gone, I knew I had to rest again, so I could continue exploring with enough stamina regen. So I sat down and waited for a bit. You know, just casually resting inside a creepy dungeon. Okay, got the buff. Now I should be ready to bonk some skeletons in the head. I went on my way, opening some doors, grabbing some mushrooms, not finding much, until I opened this door. Or should I say, closed it. I had to make sure I explored everything before coming back to fight this guy. with the help of my friend of course. I found this spawner on the other side, which was surprisingly easy to destroy. Then on the other room, I saw what I was looking for, and also what it looks to be the location for the next boss. Grabbed everything and added the location to my map. It was fairly close. Now it was time to explore the last area with that green skeleton. He had company this time, so I took down some skeletons while my friend tried to drag the attention. I already had no HP to continue fighting, so everything became a mess really quickly. One more, bam, let's go, easy. Done with that dungeon, we went for more, and death followed. But that didn't stop us from coming back and grabbing what we needed. And this dungeon was pretty big too, managed to grab a bunch of certain cores. And with everything we needed, it was time to go back home. So on day 6, we started making progress by building our first charcoal kiln. Then we got hit by a storm, so I went to grab some wood so I could make more charcoal until the storm passes. When the rain stopped, it was night already, so we decided to sleep so we could continue our journey on the next day. But something wasn't letting us sleep. Bruh. That little guy kept us awake just enough so the day could pass. On the 7th day, God rest... No, I just built a smelter. And now it was time to go grab some copper, which is a long back and forth grind. Went back to start smelting the first bit of copper, and at the end of the day, built the forge. Knowing that we would be running back and forth, we took some time to create a better pathing, so it would be easier to run back with the copper. We also made ourselves a cart, very useful to carry a bunch of heavy stuff. On day 10, while on our way to go grab some more copper, a troll showed up to say hi, and it would be problematic to have him around while we were mining. So we decided to take him down. Not an easy task though. Here, when he was almost dead, my bow broke, so I got closer to hit him with my axe, which broke too, leading it to this very unlucky death. Finally the troll was down. With the cart in place, it's time to mine some more. Another troll showed up to attack us. But this time my bow didn't break, so it was fairly easy to take him down. I juked him around the lake and kept shooting him in the back. Now back to the forest, the cart was looking pretty full, so it was time to return and smelt all that metal. And all that time we spent building a road really paid off. It was a lot easier to run through with a cart full of heavy stuff. Finally home and ready to start smelting. I also expanded a little to the side so we could have more space to build if we needed to. Meanwhile, my friend was mining tin, which is also needed to craft bronze, with 10 copper and 5 tin. crafted our first bronze material and continued the smelting section. Back to the forest, we were looking for tin this time, which they spawn near water. But first I had to get rid of my fans over here, and then we found more tin. Back to smelting, baby. We also got invaded, but it was already over when I got there, so I only helped to fix the mess they made. It was just a bunch of those forest mobs. I also started replanting some trees, and we felt like we needed a bigger house, so we started working on that, until we got invaded again, which was a non-stop wave of grey dwarfs. I guess they're just huge fans of the big, bald and buffed, what can I say? The new house wasn't lining up correctly, so we had to destroy everything and start over. In the meantime, I built my new set of armor. I was feeling ready to go explore once again. So I ventured into another dungeon in search of more circling cores. On my way back, I noticed that the house was already looking very nice. So I stood there and watched for a bit. On the night of day 20, we got invaded again. And at this point, I think they're actually haters. I managed to live through the invasion, only to die by a tree. On the 21st, we started moving our stuff to the new house. Last touches to make it nice and cozy, and we started the day by the fire. And I also thought it was a good idea to label the chests so we could keep everything organized. And after all those invasions, it was past the time to build some reinforcements. So I started building these stake walls all around our base. With everything done, it was starting to look a lot nicer. It is now time to prepare for the next boss fight. Fire arrows this time. Another invasion? But now they had only one way in, which made it a lot easier. On day 24, we placed our first portal. In order for it to work, you need 2 portals with the same tag so they can connect. When almost arriving to the boss location, we had to build a raft to get to the other side. First thing upon arriving was to place the second portal in case something went wrong. Portals connected, we went back to get the rested buff so we could fight. 3 ancient seeds were needed to summon him. And now, the battle begins. Boss down and trophy placed. His power sucks. Back home, I closed off this area so the mobs wouldn't get into our base. And then I started to build a little deck. I struggled a little since the water was deep, but it turned out to be pretty good. And with that, the only thing missing now was the boat. Just have to adjust him properly. And there it is. And now we are more than ready to set sail to the next zone. Portal placed, and that should be everything. Now we are ready to set sail. It's gonna be a long trip, because we don't know where the swamp is. But sailing in this game is very fun. See you later, home. Hopefully we don't die before placing the next portal. Portal safely placed and linked. Now let's go out there and see what's waiting for us. From the boat, this place looked huge, so I hope it has a lot of stuff for us to see. We went around looking for structures like that one over there. Those are the dungeons of the swamp, and probably we'll need a lot of those. So before committing to this location, we first needed to see if there was enough dungeons around. During the night, this wraith came to bother my exploration. But then Lil Bro came to the rescue and he wasn't expecting it. But neither was I. You'll be remembered, Lil Bro. We came back on day 28 and they were ready for us this time. But I don't think my friend was. I managed to finish them off so we could continue our journey. Since we were struggling on the outside, we decided to go inside a dungeon already. At least here, there's no rain to stop our stamina regen. This place is full of rooms with mud piles blocking the way. And that's where we get our iron from. So we started breaking everything. But there's also mobs in almost every room. But it's definitely easier to fight when you don't have the wet and cold debuff. We almost had no problem taking out this guy and the spawner. In this room, we also got to see the location of the next boss. This time it was very far away. The rest of the day was pretty much going back and forth, taking iron to the boat. By the morning, our boat was full, so we were ready to go back. The game doesn't let us teleport with metal, so we will be taking the long way back. I removed the teleport there, thinking we wouldn't go back to this place again, since we already had the boss location. Which, by the way, it was a mistake, and we'll be going back there later. So now back home with some ores, it can only mean one thing. Time to smelt it and see what we can get from it. Add the iron, add the coal, and now we wait. Meanwhile, while chopping down trees, this particular one forgot that it was a tree and just stood there. So we decided to leave it like that as a form of monument. It was staying strong even in the rain. And also, of course, since it was me chopping down trees, this had to happen, right? And if that wasn't enough, the monument tree remembered it was a tree, just when we were thinking that we had to protect it. You will serve a higher purpose now, my friend. With the first iron, I built this stone cutter, which let us upgrade our walls into stone walls, which looks nicer and also is gonna protect us more against stronger creatures. We had to mine a lot of stone for that, but it's worth it for sure, and it's also nice to take a break from the exploration. On that same day, I started crafting my iron set to improve my survivability. And this is how it was starting to look from the outside. I also took care of our little farm in case we ever ran out of food. Day 33, with the walls replaced, it was time to sail again, this time towards the boss, which is even further away. It took one day for us to arrive. And as always, portal safely placed. It was a gamble though, we were hoping that this swamp had enough iron so we could craft the remaining materials. And there's the spawning altar for the bone mass. And, as you can already expect, this was the only dungeon in the area, and we even died in there. So the decision was, leave everything prepared for the bone mass fight, which is basically fermenting some poison resistance potions. And then craft the long ship, which has a way bigger storage. We are not leaving any iron behind this time. Look how big it is. We'll be going back to that other huge swamp, so I decided to build a second portal so we could leave the one there, near the bone mass. Now time to go back to the place we shouldn't have left in the first place. Okay, this one is staying here forever now. The poison resistance potions were ready, and from one single fermentation it gives 6 potions, which is probably enough. Even though I already had the full iron set, the 1-star creatures were still giving a lot of trouble. And out of the sudden, this homeless dude appeared. I wonder what he wants. Just kidding. From the lore perspective, this was supposed to be Odin. And in the meantime, a few deaths here and there. What happened here was a miracle. Definitely Odin had my back on this one. I was basically surrounded by creatures, but somehow I managed to escape alive. We were also grabbing a lot of iron, the same old back and forth. Look at how big this swamp is, lots of dungeons. But it was starting to get a little far away from us, so we decided to put the boat a little closer. Which is a little risky, given the fact that the mobs could break the boat. But it was going to be a lot faster, so we decided to go for it anyways. I stood nearby to make sure that it wouldn't break, killing the mobs around it, until I made a huge mistake. I missed my arrow and, well, yeah, this happened. I tried to bail as quickly as I could, cause that shit was going to shred the ship. But it's not only huge, but it's also super fast, and it catch me in no time. But all I could think was all the iron we had stored inside that boat. So my only choice was to run. There's no way I was gonna make it if I stood there. We were trying to see who could hold aggro so the other could take the boat safely. I managed to grab the abomination's attention until we made an epic escape. We lived to see another day this time. We had a lot of iron. We couldn't afford to lose everything. On the way back home, we stumbled upon the merchant, which spawns randomly around the map, and he sells some very useful stuff. And there he is, chilling in his bubble with his pet. Papa Smurf is looking a little different, that's for sure. And what we were mainly looking to buy is that belt, the Meginjord, which is also known as a Thor's belt. So of course, I built the portal so we could come back with the money later on. But for now, time to go back home. Everything loaded into the cart and ready to start smelting. Until I had a mini heart attack. All the work was being held by a thread. And it's gone. But not really. We managed to recover it. But I still did expand a little the stairs. And now it's time for the smelting simulator. I placed the connecting portal to the merchant so we could go there and buy everything we need. And after selling off these stuff, it should be more than enough to buy all the items. And the purpose of the belt is to increase our max carry weight. We also bought other things so we could unlock more crafting recipes. Day 43, we finished smelting everything and crafting everything else we needed. Day 44, the goal was to clear the mobs around the boss area, so we started taking down the abomination so we could have a clean fight. It took some time, but we managed to do it. And now it's time for the bone mass. Sacrifice made, let's go. This fight was nothing like our expectations. When we got hit for half of our HP, we knew we were screwed, but there was no retreating at this point. So what followed was a complete disaster. We could barely get near him without getting hit. It became a game of patience, and it was taking a long time. To make things even worse, this wraith appeared right after I used the last potion, and he killed me, so no more poison resistance potions to finish off the boss, which by the way, was regening health in the meantime, and potions just take way too long to ferment, so we had to kill him right now. Went for the all-in, and it was well worth it. Another boss down. It only took us almost 2 full days. But a win is a win, I'll take it. And with this new buff unlocked, it's gonna help a lot with things going further. The new buff basically gives you a huge protection against any physical damage, almost like a super armor. We spent some well-deserved time resting as we prepared for our next adventure. The only thing missing was the frost resistance potion, which by the end of the day it was ready, meaning that we were also ready for the mountains. We knew we had a mountain biome fairly close to our spawn, so we decided to explore this one first, and we got greeted by wolves almost immediately, but after what happened during the bone mass fight, made us learn about the importance of upgrading our equipment, and we did exactly that, which made it a lot easier to take down these new creatures. And also the wishbone thing is to help find buried silver under the snow, which is the next material that we have to collect. So those sparkles that you just saw, it was because there was silver hidden nearby. We then decided to take a peek inside that frost cave that was nearby. The cave was packed with werewolves, and they apparently are extremely strong. But other than that, that was pretty much it. The cave was so small that it felt like we were missing something, but we just left without looking around too much. We were there for the silver. So we located a silver vein underneath and started mining. It didn't take long for enemies to come see what was going on. This golem, for example, was pissed about the fact that we were invading his home. He was very tanky, but we managed to stunlock him and take him down really quickly. So we continued mining that silver vein until we couldn't carry anything else. We got really close to finishing the vein, but we couldn't carry any more silver. So we went back to see what we could craft with the new metal. And that's a lot of new stuff. I opted to go for the armor chest first, as it would help me survive the cold without the need of a frost resistance potion. I also reorganized the portals and added a new one for the mountains. Later on that day, we got hunted by a big pack of wolves, and I made the mistake to think that I would be able to take them down without using the bone mass buff. I clearly overestimated the power of teamwork. And after that, they were just camping our bodies during the whole night. And because I didn't have the belt on me, I couldn't just easily grab my items. I had to put the belt first, so I could carry everything else. So the plan was to wait for the next day, so we could grab our bodies in peace. And it worked, the wolves were not there anymore. Moving on, we found our first dragon egg. These are needed to spawn the next boss. They are very heavy and you can't go through portals with them. And then the mining section continued, and we were getting ganked every now and then. Since the mountain was so close to the base, I was just going back and forth with the silver to reduce the downtime of the furnaces. On the 51st, we got raided by the mountain drakes. They are the easiest but also the most annoying, since we need a bow to take them down. And with the cold wind gone, we managed to defend our base successfully. That made me realize that we needed a better bow, so I crafted what's possibly the best looking weapon in the game. This bow is just so cool. I decided to try it out for the first time, and it not only deals tons of damage, but it also leaves the target poisoned, which is crazy. That's a huge upgrade for sure. Day 53, we struggled with some mobs breaking the portal and also the cart. They were not giving any breaks. And we had some rough days. Even the golem was out to get us. Out exploring, I found the next boss location. This one was fairly close, I was happy about it. We decided to explore this other frozen cave, hoping that it would be bigger. And it actually turned out to be a lot bigger, but not so different from the other one. It had some bats, which was different, and like some tunnels, but it was pretty much the same. A 1-star wolf ended up getting my friend. These 1-star mobs are no joke. My mission was just to retrieve some of his items so he could survive the cold all the way here and retrieve everything he had. It got really scary. If I die here, there will be no way we could retrieve our items without having to ferment new frost resistance potions. Thankfully I made it out alive, so I packed a few of his stuff and went back. We successfully retrieved his loot, only for him to die again right next to the portal this time, which the wolves were destroying yet again. We said enough is enough and decided to build walls around the portal so it could be safe. And that should be plenty of silver to go back already. First I wanted to see how this golem trophy looks like, and that gave me a pretty good idea. Went to check if my idea was gonna work, and this is going to a place 100% better. Now let's make sure it's positioned right. And that should be perfect. Now that's the golden trophy I want in my life. Take that however you want. The comfort level should skyrocket after this. Jokes aside, time to take off the silver back home. After some time smelting, I was able to complete the silver armor set. And by day 58, we were almost done with all the silver. And I crafted everything else I wanted to craft, like this cool looking mace, upgraded my shield to max quality, and crafted some obsidian arrows, all in preparation for the next boss fight. We also built this, which is called Obliterator. It kinda works like a trash. Everything you put inside it, it obliterates, as the name says. And before we go fight the next boss, I wanted to make a little portal hub area. The other one was looking kinda ugly, so I had to take care of this first. Plus I needed room for one more portal. And this is the one we need for now. I'll take care of the rest later. Now it's time to take the ship and head towards the boss, without the dragon eggs of course. On the beginning of day 60, we stumbled upon a floating island. These are called leviathans, and they're basically huge turtles, and they're also completely harmless. They have a bunch of these stuff on their back which you can mine, and once you start mining it, the leviathan will wake up and will start to submerge. So you have to be quick and mine whatever you can before he goes fully underwater. Now approaching the boss territory, we found a good place to park the boat, and now we had to find a better place to put the portal. And there it is right there, the altar for the boss. And right next to it, the perfect place to put the portal. And this will probably be the safest place that we put a portal in. Just had to make sure we covered every area that was missing a wall. Everything looking good. The only thing missing now are the dragon eggs. And all we have to do is put 3 of them in place. But for now, we only put 2. It was almost night time and we wanted to do the fight during the day. So we went back and slept through the night. So in order to eat some good foods for the fight, I had to empty my stomach first. And I'm not gonna lie, this was so exaggerated that I thought I was going to die. But all good, alive and eating good stat food. Look at this health bar, that's what I'm talking about. 3rd egg is in place, and now it's time. 4th boss fight, here we go. Looks like we're having dragon for dinner tonight. And this shows how powerful the bone mass buff is. It made it a lot easier for sure. And finally, trophy in place. And what this one does is whenever we are sailing, the wind is always in our favor. Now checking everything we unlocked, it was a lot. So many new structures to build, and some of them are very big. So we decided to take the old house down to make space for everything. The idea here is to make a nice open area for crafting and smelting, so the next couple days we're dedicated to build this area. And this should be it. This place is looking a lot different now, look at this. Despite the house looking like an Amazon warehouse, I think we did a pretty good job here. We decided to explore a little more before we move on to the next zone. And now, if a werewolf shoots fire from his hand, you have to subscribe to the channel. Wow, he actually did it. Who would have thought? This frost cave was huge, but also pretty easy. I guess we were overgeared already. Now that this cave was cleared, it's time to take the ship all the way back home. And with this new motor buff, it should be a lot faster. We spotted a sea serpent in the way, so we decided to challenge it. These creatures are scary. But we were hitting pretty hard. It was actually easier than I was expecting. So not long after, we finished her off. On day 67, we safely arrived home. We also moved the stone oven to the cooking area. We can almost call this a kitchen now. And as the day ends, we prepare ourselves for the plains. New area to explore means new portal to be made. And with that done, let's go look for this place and make some progress. It was already dark when we arrived, but gladly there was no enemies waiting for us. So I placed the other half of the portal right there. We also thought it was a good idea to build some defenses first before start exploring, so we wouldn't have to worry about the portal being destroyed every couple days, like when we were in the mountains. Now it's time to go out there and make everybody hate me for invading their habitat, but at least against mosquitoes, I would consider it self-defense. Nearby there was a goblin village, so we decided to invade them. And it turns out that by defeating these goblins, we get black metal as a drop from them, which is the material we need to make new equipment. So apparently the goal is to invade every village we see, but it's definitely not as easy as it looks. This shaman, for example, is probably the most annoying. He gives shield to himself and to allies nearby. We can also steal their crops though. First village was a success, lots of new materials and 0 deaths. And now we move on. Holy shit, wait, is that oil? I saw it first, okay? Stay away, Americans. Oh, never mind. It's Star actually. And these slimes are insane. Look at that damage. They do poison and slow at the same time. Once you're hit, you're done. We went to sleep to hopefully reset them so we could retrieve our items. But of course it wasn't that easy. They were still there camping the bodies. It took some laps around them, but I finally could retrieve my items. And we learned our lesson. We are not messing with those creatures again. Instead, we went to see how strong were the other creatures. This one is very tanky, but we learned that their vision is very limited, so we can easily avoid them if we need to. Back at home, I went to see what I could make with the crops we got at the Goblin Village, and that unlocked me the new armor set. I tried to plant more behind our house, but it turns out that they only grow in the plains biome. So I made a little area for it over there. Back to our exploration, we came across a river. So we decided to make a bridge to make it easier to go back and forth. With the bridge done, we continued to explore the other side of the river and found what it looks to be an even bigger goblin village, full of bonfires and huge goblins. This one had these totems, which we're gonna need to summon the next boss. We got lucky and found 3 of them on the same village. So the goal now is to get as many black metal as we can and also find more of these totems for the boss. So we continued to wander around looking for villages to raid. During that time, we came across a different structure. It looks like a hand sticking out of the floor, so we decided to check it out. And it turns out that this is actually the arena for the next boss. And we could actually confirm that we need 5 of those totems in order to summon him. I made the portal for the boss already, as we were exploring more towards that side of the map. Day 76 was fully focused on collecting more black metal. Satisfied with the amount of metal we got, we paid a visit to the swamp nearby. And that's because we need more iron for the next armor set. And gladly we found enough dungeons there. We are a lot stronger now too, so it was just a quick little detour. Boat now full, time to go back home. And the next couple days we spent traveling and smelting. We had a lot of work to do. Finally on day 83, we had enough to make everything we needed, fully geared and almost ready to challenge the next boss. Just a few more things to make sure we won't struggle during the fight, like cooking some good food. Also, we wanted to upgrade some of our items, So we reorganized the forge so we could place every forge improvement around it, and I went to grab some silver so we could make those upgrades. Now everything should be ready for us to go out there and show who the real boss is, which by the way, it's not us. But anyways, here we are at the boss altar, with all the totems ready for the summon, so I guess I just place my hand there, and here we go. It is now time for an epic fight. Yagluth is all about his elemental damages. That's one more for the count. Not a bad fight, all things considered. A different bird showed up to say hi this time. And back home, I wanted to see what this wisp fountain was about. And apparently, it only works during the night. It generates these wisps that later on we can use as a light source. As for his buffs, it's kinda the same as the bone mass buff, but instead of physical damage protection, is elemental damage. And like after every boss fight, time to give the base some love. And here's a tour on how it's looking like. After that, I decided to hunt down some sea serpents to see if we could get their trophy, so I could display on our base's deck. After a while out in the ocean, we still had no luck. And to make it even worse, the game crashed. And when I came back, I was back at the spawn. But my friend, he was still all the way out there, and we had no boat. So I made another one and went to the rescue. For some reason, he was a lot further to where the game crashed. But the rescue was successful and we also retrieved the other boat. And after all this time wasted, it's time for the Mistlands. Good old portal first before we go. Now we just have to get safely to the other side. Upon arrival, we were trying to find a place to stop the boat. We saw a structure from afar and decided to stop the boat there. And as soon as we approached, these creepy insects came to attack us, and that completely caught me off guard. And yeah, as you might be thinking, we died before placing the portal. And look how far away the Mistland is. There's no easy way to get there. And with still 8 days left, we thought it would be a good idea to just become farmers and give up on the Viking life. We were thinking, with full gear they one-shotted us, imagine without gear would be impossible to retrieve our items. They were still there camping our bodies and destroying the boat. We needed to come up with something. So the strategy was to approach in reverse, to get the items and leave as quick as possible. During this time, we learned that once they're in the water, they can't fly, so I guess we got lucky there. We managed to escape and finish them off, and as we, I mean I, as my friend managed to do the impossible. He died again, so it was up to me to survive and place the portal. I found a place to put it, but 2 more beetles started attacking me. I almost died, but I managed to kill them both and place it. Now we are ready to go back to that structure and see what's inside. And that's actually a dungeon. The place has insects everywhere, hundreds of cocoons and fully grown bugs. There are also hidden doors with treasure inside. I also found what appears to be the next item that we need to fight the next boss, but that's something for later. And when I say the dungeon is full of insects, I mean it's full. Every room feels like a challenge. The place is really cool though. And once we left, we went straight back home to relax. Exploring the Mistlands feels 10 times harder than exploring any other biome. Continuing our exploration, we found these roots. They're the next mineral source, but we can't get it yet. But we can definitely get scared by this. What the hell? The farmer life sounds more and more appealing as the time goes by. That thing not only shoots fire, but also spawns little bugs. I ran away and ended up finding this giant skull. It looked important, but I couldn't figure out why, so I went back to kill that giant balloon. Day 97, I found another structure which I thought it was another dungeon. but it's actually some kind of stronghold with some friendly NPCs. And they all have different classes and different looks, which is kinda cool. Then I continue my exploration, going through some nice places and finding more strongholds. Later, I got a 1-star mage to fight a 2-star seeker to see how strong he is. And the mage is pretty strong, but the seeker is just OP. So as soon as the mage died, I started running away cause I would be next. I stumbled upon something different as I was running away. I wasn't sure of what it was and it looked dangerous to approach, but I really wanted to get closer. And as I was making up a plan, I got spotted by one of the seekers. So I had to run away and wait for the bone mass buff to come back up. I was able to clear everything and it was finally safe to take a closer look. And by the looks of it, and reading the stone, we can confirm this huge door is sealing the next boss, the Queen. And I could also confirm that those seal breakers from the dungeon is actually what we need. We were so excited about the stuff we've been finding that we forgot what day it was, and we went inside another dungeon. And as you can guess, that's how we spent our last day. We did an extra day though, because this one didn't go as planned at all. Not that there was a plan to begin with. But this is 100% how to not do it. We did make up for it in the end. We cleared the dungeon and I went back home to craft a new weapon. That crossbow looks so cool, I had to try it out. And I knew exactly who was gonna be the first victim. Yep, I am prepared this time. And it is indeed very cool, but I thought it would be stronger. I guess I still have to level up the crossbow skill. And for the very last mission, we learned that the dwarves have what we need to harvest those roots, and there's no peaceful way to get it. So as soon as I broke the box, they immediately aggroed. We were not expecting an easy fight, but these guys are on a whole new level. And things went from 0 to 100 in seconds. And honestly, we didn't stand a chance. That was the cue to stop right there. It would take a lot of preparation to take down these guys. Luckily they got busy with seekers outside, so I could go in and recover my items. And for me, that was enough to call it a day. It was definitely a journey and I'll be coming back to finish the Mistlands. But for now, if I haven't put you to sleep already, don't forget to leave a like and let me know what you think in the comments. That will be it for now. See you guys next time.